Hi there and good morning. Happy Saturday. It's Cheryl here with CherylTasari.com. Just wanting to post another video here on my YouTube. Keep things flowing and active. So I've had these thoughts over the last few days. If you're following my channel, you're going to see that I went through some major health issues. I am recovering from stem cell transplant, 6 months out, actually today or tomorrow, 24th, whatever day that is. I think it's tomorrow. So doing well, getting a lot stronger, having more stamina, getting more strength. I still wake up feeling like I have scleroderma, and what that feels like is just having like hard, tight skin. All 4 limbs are affected, not so much on the right arm and right side, just more from the elbow down on the right side, but my hands have been completely affected, so hence I'm not doing hair or anything like that anymore. So I've been thinking about things. I was diagnosed in January of 2021, and I want to share this because I was listening to an Audible last winter while I was in isolation pre-stem cell, because you have to isolate for a couple months before to make sure you don't get any kind of infection, not even a cold, or the whole transplant is off. And then you have to isolate for 2 to 3 months after. Luckily, I got to graduate early, 60 days post-transplant, because everything was fine. I had no issues. I had no bad side effects, no adverse effects, nothing happening with my organs, lungs, whatever. So I graduated early, 60 days post-transplant. But in that time of isolation, I downloaded Audible and I started listening to a bunch of books. One of them was Gaber Mates, When the Body Says No. And he talks about one of his patients on there that went through scleroderma and what was happening in her life before she got diagnosed with her autoimmune. And it reminded me somewhat of myself. I mean, I'm definitely a person that can say no, probably even more so in the last 6 years than I ever have my whole life. I wouldn't say I was a people pleaser, but definitely an empath, and I am more of a peacemaker. So in times of chaos, I was the one that was actually pretty calm and level-headed and trying to keep people kind of on an even keel and kind of balance the energy in the room. And I did that even naturally before I became a Reiki master. But in his book, he talks about how the body says no. So for me, 6 months prior to me getting diagnosed with cancer, my daughter stopped talking to me. And she was 22 years old. And it was very, very hard for me as a mother because she was my ride or die. She was my sidekick. We were very, very close. Now, my kids went through divorce, unfortunately, and we are about 7 years out post-divorce. My son was 16, my daughter was 18. It was very hard on everybody. I think even more so hard on my son, but of course, I don't think it hit my daughter until later. She was actually one that said, you know, Mom, we need to leave. And that was when I decided to leave the house. I was already upstairs sleeping in a separate room. So a little personal here, but I'm leading up to something that is very important. Usually with cancer. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in January of 2021. I was going through a relationship that I was starting to realize was very controlling. And this guy had very possessive behavior. And I kept saying to myself, why is he so jealous and controlling when I know I'm not doing anything wrong? I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not going outside the relationship. I'm only interested in him. And I soon realized that obviously going through cancer and the engagement and everything ending, that he was actually the one that was being unfaithful. So the old saying is true. If someone's very possessive, controlling, and jealous, it's usually because they're up to something themselves. So, sorry, did my makeup this morning. I think I saw some eyeliner there. Anyway, so in hindsight, that was a bit tumultuous, but I was in a very vulnerable position. So I did say yes to the engagement, ended up moving in with him. But going back to my relationship with my daughter, so 6 months before I was diagnosed with breast cancer, she stopped talking to me. She did send me a message, and it kind of explained kind of what was going on. It completely blindsided me, and I just didn't understand why. So Within 6 months, though, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So those of you who are in Reiki, you know that the heart chakra and the breasts have to do with mothering, and usually over mothering. And you know, if you're a mother, that it's hard to pull yourself away from your kids, even if they're older and grown. I mean, that heart cord is always there. We're always attached to our kids. We always want to be there for them. We always want to help them out. It doesn't matter what age they are, right? So long story short, 6 months after that, and I'm not blaming her, it was more my response of how I reacted to the estrangement. And obviously I reacted with a ton of grief and not understanding why, and not understanding that maybe she had a lot going on herself and it had nothing to do with me. I'm still waiting to find out what that is, but I have come to some resolution. We have reconciled to some degree. Just we met up about 2 months ago, or a month ago, a month and a half ago, and she apologized for making me feel abandoned, and I apologized to her for the same in previous events leading up to us not talking. But sometimes people just can't be there for you emotionally or even for themselves. And through the whole experience of getting breast cancer, getting diagnosed with scleroderma in May of 2022, having people leave me many times over, because a lot of people can't handle being with someone who's ill, or maybe they're expecting that person to get better and they actually get sicker, which is what happened with me. The oncologist in the breast cancer, Tom Baker, said that it's very, very common for women to be left married, engaged, otherwise from their partners, because men just can't handle it, which is sad because, and I'm not saying all men are like that, but majority, she said 50% get left. So that's unfortunate. It's very scary. And there are some that have been married for years and the relationship just deteriorates. And it's sad because women are nurturers and we tend to stay and kind of tough it out and look after them and make sure they're okay and look after the family. And, you know, we kind of step up, whereas the men sometimes step out, which is sad, but it's true. It's a reality. But what I'm leading up to is that your body says no sometimes. So it says no to things that are upsetting your soul, things that are upsetting your peace of mind. And what I'm finding is things that are upsetting my healing journey. I'm still healing. I mean, I've been through a hell of a storm the last 2.5 years with breast cancer and then scleroderma, and then being told that I had 2 years to live in May of 2022 was devastating for myself, my son, my friends, my family, everything. And then being kind of in limbo for 6 months until I found out in, I think it was October of 2022, that I actually did qualify for stem cell. And then, of course, I had all the 17 procedures leading up to it in order to actually physically qualify. And psychologically and mentally, you have to qualify in every way, shape, and form. They're not going to do stem cell on somebody that's going to be suicidal, which, trust me, I was there a few times during being diagnosed with scleroderma, because I thought, my God, if this is my new reality and this is how my body's going to be and this is what my future's going to be, watching all the people worsen on the scleroderma support page on Facebook, I thought, I don't want this reality. No, this is not quality of life. This is not living. This is not nothing. I mean, because when you go through illness, you lose a lot of things. You lose family members. You lose people that are close to you. You lose partnerships, relationships, career. I mean, I lost everything. And I lost the use of my hands properly for my career in the beauty industry that I was in for 30 years. And I was teaching cosmetology and barbering before I got sick, which I love teaching. I would never go back to that industry again anyway, because I found out through my functional medicine training and stuff that it's highly toxic, obviously, with all the chemicals and stuff. So what I'm arriving at today is that with the thought and listening to Gaber Mates, when the body says no, sometimes you get a screaming halt no. i.e. my breast cancer. And it stopped myself and my life in its tracks. I remember being very, very angry at God, like literally yelling at God, why me? Why me? I couldn't understand how I got breast cancer. After leading a fairly healthy lifestyle, I was drinking the shakes, I was doing the yoga, I was doing the meditation, I was going for walks, even through COVID. And COVID was hard for everybody. And doing my best to maintain my health and fitness, the nutrition when we went through COVID. I mean, I have a pretty strong mind anyway, and thankfully have the hypnosis skills to kind of talk myself or meditate myself out of bad states of mind, and I've had to do it a lot. But not everyone has that skill, right? So I understand that COVID was hard for a lot of people. But what I'm finding going forward is that sometimes people can't be available for you emotionally, and that the universe sends the people that we need to get through these trying times and struggles and health issues. The universe looks after us that way, you know. I had amazing angels and a whole tribe of people show up and help, and I had to ask, you know, and my awesome best friend Becca, she just stepped up and she recruited a whole bunch of people to help get me to appointments if I couldn't get friends or family, you know, if other people were busy, because people got to work, you know. I mean, some of these medical doctors don't understand that people have lives and they have careers and they have jobs they have to get to pay the bills, and you can't just drop a hat and drive somebody to an appointment and wait for a few hours, right? So it was a learning curve for everybody, and I'm just so very, very thankful for my tribe that looked after me, sorry. And there were many, many, many. And I think I'm posting this today because I want to touch down on the breast cancer, because Breast Cancer Awareness Month is coming up for the month of October. So I want to encourage you to check your breasts, get your mammogram, get your ultrasounds. If there's anything suspicious or you think that there might be something just not quite feeling right, demand an ultrasound, because sometimes a mammogram is not enough. I only missed mine for just over 2 years, and part of it was through COVID. So a lot of us got misdiagnosed and ended up with cancer and stuff like that through COVID because we weren't going to these medical appointments that we should have been, right? So in hindsight, I'm learning through the process, though, in my healing, now that I'm truly actually on the other side of the fence, healing, a lot less medical appointments, just follow up with the specialist next Friday and follow up with the scleroderma specialist next month, that I'm out of the medical system, thank God. Like, I have been through so much physically that I don't even want to get touched anymore medically, honestly. And that's where I'm at. I want to be on the road to healing. And I'm learning that I'm going to have to really guard my heart, my mommy heart, through this journey with my daughter. And I love her to death. And it's really hard to pull away as a mother and watch someone go through something and not be able to help when you've helped for like 22 years and raised that child. It's very, very hard. And I know we all have to let them go and learn their own things through life, and you know, they're going to go through their own life lessons and journeys and raising their own children and stuff like that. But it's really, really hard as a mom to just cut that cord. But I'm learning that I have to, for my health, for my recovery, for my rehabilitation, because I find when I get upset, I get very weak and I have flare-ups. For anyone that has an autoimmune, you end up having a flare-up when you have stress. Stress greatly affects autoimmune, and as does diet. So usually if I'm upset, I'm eating crap food like carbs, sugar, donuts, chocolate. Like, you're emotionally eating, right? I mean, we're only human, and I do that very, very, very few and far between. But the other day I did it hard, and then I felt it. So I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't need the sugar in my system for more reasons than one. You know, sugar drives cancer, so I don't need that. Stick to my clean eating diet. But I just wanted to touch down on this today and share it with you guys. Sometimes you just got to send love and healing and, you know, good vibes and Reiki to people from afar, you know, and work in the etheric realm rather than the physical world. Because the physical world, we're all here for lessons, right? And I'm just learning through that book from listening to Gabriel Mates, When the Body Says No, that if I'm not careful, if I allow things to affect me too greatly, especially as a mother, that I'll end up back right back where I was, which I don't want. And I really try and limit the stress in my life. And it's okay for you to be selfish if you're going through illness or a healing journey. And it's okay for you to say no to things that don't sit well with your soul or are not in alignment. It's okay for you to say no to bad relationships or toxic relationships. It's okay for you to say no to poor treatment from others in relationships. And it's completely okay for you to honor yourself with immense self-love and self-reflection and looking forward and even being selfish in what you want to see going forward in your life when you've had a near-death, challenging, life-threatening illness, not once but twice, and you really rethink life. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I listen to people, whether in dating or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to work until I'm 65, and then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm thinking, I hate to tell you, but you know what? Usually by 65, you're not healthy enough to enjoy life and retire and travel and all of that stuff. And I have seen it firsthand when my mom was in the lodge. Everyone there was 65 and older, and half of them were on oxygen, and they were not well enough to travel and enjoy life. And unfortunately, that's a reality for many if you really don't take charge of your health and your wellness. I'm now 51. My life path has completely been diverted and changed. I'm more in alignment of thinking, how can I, obviously I'm not going to go back to hair, so that career won't happen. How can I supplement my income through my online wellness work and my hypnosis, or even teaching abroad in Mexico, or teaching online, to soul. And I'm looking at creating a life out of the cold, not here in Calgary for the winter. And who knows what's going to happen? Maybe I'll get to Mexico and I'll love it and I'll want to stay there. I don't know. I won't know until I go and do it. So life really throws you curveballs, and sometimes those redirections, you don't know until later whether it's actually leading you on your divine path, which we all know, there's a divine plan for everybody in this lifetime. But I'm sharing this with you today to remind you to check yourself, check your relationships, check where your heart is at, guard your heart, at all costs, keep your peace, try and keep your stress down. Don't allow negativity and toxicity to come into your life. I've had to learn boundaries myself even, that's what I'm learning. And trying really hard to respect other people's boundaries, even though it's hard as a mama. And, touching down on that today. A whole spiel of information for you guys, but really, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is coming up, and it will be 2 years. 2 years since I've been cancer-free in November. So check your breasts, get your mammogram, men too. If you find a lump or something suspicious or weird, get yourself checked, because men can get it too. And just don't neglect yourself. Listen to those little, physical health whispers. I was getting pain in my pec area and breast area for a couple months on and off at nighttime before I actually found the lump. And I thought as a hairstylist that maybe it was just because I was teaching. So I was teaching like 5 classes a day, 15, 16 students. So my arms and everything were up a lot during the day with long, long hair on the mannequins, or clients checking haircuts and stuff. So I thought maybe I just strained a muscle, right? Plus I worked out too, so I didn't know if that's what I did, but it wasn't. It was actually cancer growing there. And the surgeon said to me, so I was diagnosed in 2021, January. She said to me, Cheryl, for that cancer to go from this small little cell to this blackberry size growth, which is what it was. It felt like a blackberry when I found it. So think of how big that is, right? She said that cancer had to have been there 5 years. So I thought back to 5 years prior. What happened in my life then? And again, this relates back to the book Game Your Mates, when the body says no. A lot of people that get diagnosed with cancer go through immense stress about a year to a year and a half before they're diagnosed. So I thought back and I thought 5 years. Well, that would have been like 2016. Well, what happened in 2015, 2016 is I lost my mom in August of 2015. 6 months later, I left my husband of 20 years. So I had some major stress happening 6 years prior to me getting diagnosed with breast cancer. So it all made sense. When she told me that day in the surgeon's office, and she said, Cheryl, this cancer had to have been here 5 years. And I'm thinking, what? And I had a mammogram in 2018 of November where I've always had this little nodule in my left breast that I had after giving birth to my daughter. And they were always checking it. And I remember they were checking it then in November 2018. And they were a bit suspicious of it. So they did an ultrasound. And then whoever the doctor is, the radiologist or whatever, he looked and he said, no, it's fine. We'll just let her go. But here's the weird thing. The blackberry-sized cancer growth was right on top of the nodule. So I don't know what to think, but it is what it is. I've been through it. I'm on the other side. I've survived. Fuck cancer. And I continue to thrive and take good care of my health. But again, just the last couple months is a reminder of just to put me first and try and keep my own self in alignment and in balance and put myself first and look after my health because I don't want any more surprises. Anyway, you guys, God bless. Have a wonderful Saturday. Stay tuned on my YouTube channel. I'm going to continue sharing topics and things to talk about. I'm going to be sharing about mediumship really soon here because I would love for you guys to join my mediumship development class. It's going to be a fun, intensive class, interactive. It's really cool, even via Zoom to do the mediumship. We can even have a meeting in person here where I teach you how to read auras, and that's a really cool thing. I used to do it with my students and stuff. That was really cool. And then also my self-love class, which I just went over the content the other day on my laptop, and I'm so excited to share that with you guys. I developed that during cancer treatment because I really had to look at myself and start loving myself. And that's been at the forefront for the last 2 years, is just putting myself first. And my health issues have made it so that I have to put myself first. I don't have a choice. You know, I keep getting redirected as, nope, you're going to focus on your health right now. You're going to focus on you and getting better. Just you, you know. So I love that class too. And I would love for you guys to join in that class. It's just a weekend course. It'll be awesome. I give you tips, tricks, knowledge, you know, what red flags to look out for, which I've had to learn the hard way, and just to make you more well-informed and knowledgeable about going forward and maybe picking the right person, right? Picking your right mate and not missing the signs and signals like I did, and learning from your mistakes. Anyway, stay tuned. Check out my workshops on CherylTassari.com. I wish you guys an amazing day. Be sure to like and share this video with anyone that might need to hear it. God bless. Bye-bye.